Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome to episode 46 of the Daily Traders Podcast. Now, today we are interviewing special guest Umar Ashraf. Umar is the CEO of TradeZilla, which is one of the industry's largest trade journaling platforms out there. Some really cool stuff. Umar today is going to talk about his trading strategies, which allowed him to clear $7 million, over $7 million in 2021 in trading profits and $1.4 million in 2022. Now, really valuable stuff in this episode. And also, make sure you stick to the end because Umar talks about the realities of living in Dubai as an entrepreneur. This is definitely one of my top favorite episodes, so I hope you guys thoroughly enjoy. With that said, let's get right into it.
So tell us a bit about yourself. I mean, you're huge in the social media space, in the trading world. TradeZilla is your platform, which I know of. And so I know we've got a lot to talk about, but just for someone who doesn't know anything about you, briefly, what do you do?
Sure. So I got into space by trading. Been trading since 2012, 2013. After trading, I started TradeZilla. I guess harder for me to do intros, but I've been in space for 10 years, consistently, producing results. A lot of people ask me like, oh, how'd you quote unquote gain some sort of following on social media? And my thing has always been, hey, focus on a skill set, get good at a skill set. If you do and you are good at a skill set, people will eventually start paying attention to what you're doing. And, me being in the space for 10 years, not 1 year, not 2 years, for a long period of time, and staying alive year over year in the markets and in the space overall, kind of says a lot. And then from there, I have TradeZilla. The next stage we're going into is opening up a trading floor. So yeah, that's my quick intro.
That was awesome. So your trading floor, is it like a proprietary trading firm? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so the word prop firm gets thrown out a lot because of the recent funding company. So I don't really like to use the word prop firm anymore, even though that's what a real prop firm is. So it's, I kind of say trading floor now, but essentially the real terminology is it's a prop firm. But I guess social media in the world now compares a prop firm to the funding companies, which is why I just try to avoid using that terminology. But essentially what it is we're trying to build a floor of 10 to 14 traders, develop them, share our playbooks, manage them, provide real capital, not demo accounts and all that nonsense, and just trade. That's really what it's about. It's easier to scale an approach to the market with 12 to 14 people, right? Opposed to just me doing it myself.
Okay. So you've been trading on your own for 10 years. You found a way to kind of monetize the skill you have, starting TradeZilla and, educating people. And now you're taking on these traders to fund them, to teach them, everything that you've been doing to be, become and have been a successful trader. So what's your actual trading look like yourself? How active are you in the markets on a day-to-day basis? Are you taking a step back, personally from trading to really help this group of traders for this trading floor that you're starting, or from an educational standpoint, you're spending a lot of time on that, or are you still very active in the market?
Lately, I haven't really been active in the markets, especially this year. This year, I probably had less than 20, maybe 30 trading days, not even.
Okay.
So I haven't really been active. The trading floor isn't up and running yet, but once it is up and running, I will obviously have to take more of a stance of being active, especially, in the initial stages. Just lately, it's been a lot about building TradeZilla, taking it in the right direction, making sure we are, able to grow and add all the proper features and execute on the things that are on our roadmap. And then from there, going on to phase 2, which would be the trading floor.
I have a real quick question. I'm curious why because I've also taken kind of a step back from trading in this market. Is it more of like a lifestyle thing? You're very busy with TradeZilla and setting up this trading floor, or is it more of the market conditions and you realize that just the same opportunities that were there in 2021 aren't here today?
It's more of a personal thing. I don't think it's market conditions, because if it was market conditions, I would, actively be in front of my computer. I'm not actively in front of my computer every day looking for opportunities. It's been very inconsistent. And in terms of like market opportunities and market changing, I've been, once again, trading for 10 years, and I've seen the market shift year over year, right? So yes, the market has changed from 2020 till now. Yes, the market has also changed a lot from 2016 to 2018. And the market also changed a lot from 2018 to 2020, right?
Yeah.
So the market continuously keeps changing. The reason we hear the terminology that the market is continuously evolving is because in 2020 to 2021, we got a new batch of traders in. So those new batch of traders would see the market they see the market switch and they're like, well, wait, it's not working anymore the way I was trading.
Mhm.
Right. But when you go back to like historical data, market movements, the way the market moves, the way certain securities move, year after year, or even month after month, they do change. Also we have, since the past 10 years, we've, first time we're in a quote unquote a real bear market, or we're facing a real recession, right? So obviously market conditions are going to change. So if you go beyond me and you go to veteran traders that have been trading for 20, maybe 30 years, they'll go, okay, this is normal. But if
Yeah.
you go to someone that's entered the market in 2020, 2021, they're like, oh man, I can't find any opportunities. Yeah, you can't find any opportunities if you keep trading or looking for the same opportunities you looked in. I think if you're a good trader, you're able to adapt, you're able to stay alive, you're able to recognize opportunities. Maybe it may not be the next day, but in the next few weeks, you should be able to recognize and adapt and execute on it.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by thedailytraders.com. Now, if you're interested in learning how to trade in the stock market, I have put together a curriculum of videos covering everything I know, everything I've learned over the last 5 years trading in the market. The link will be the first in the description below to my mentorship group. You click that link and I will see you over there. Yeah. So what are your thoughts right now on the overall market and kind of that idea of, we're heading into a recession. We are in a recession. And there could be a lot of money to be made, within the next year or two, learning the skill of trading this skill. I think a lot of people, everyone's so eager to hop in the market when, like 2020, coming out of 2020, when everything's just going up. And now that, it's been a lot more more challenging to spot direction. And, everyone's kind of a little more scared and hesitant when this may actually be the best opportunity and time to at least learn. So you're ready for that kind of inevitable upturn when there's some more certainty, I guess, within the whole economy, whether that's a year or 2 years from now.
Of course, I always think the best time to get in something is when that market is kind of slow, right? Because every market, typically goes in cycles, right? You saw the market in 2020 to 2022. We went on a crazy up run, right? Opportunities were easy. I think it was a lot easier to make money compared to now. Not saying it's impossible. It is a little bit more difficult. So if someone was to start today, and let's say in 2024, 2025, we got a nice market again, they would be prepared to take on that market. Opposed to, hey, the market just got hot. Let me try it now. It's going to take you 6 months to a year. I think getting into the markets anytime is good. Don't avoid getting into the markets if the markets aren't hot. It's just, if they're not hot now, you learn the skill set. When it does get hot, you're well prepared. It just makes more sense in my opinion.
Okay, so I think as far as becoming a trader, the hardest part is learning and finding the avenues for your education. What do you recommend for maybe someone who's very new to trading, starting out? What should they do in order to gain that knowledge and not blow up all their money and not waste all this money on useless mentorships? Some are definitely really good, but what do you recommend for someone starting out? Where should they allocate their money? Because you do have to invest in your own education.
Sure. I think finding a mentor is key if you do find a good mentor. But in this space, the problem is there's too many people that, in my opinion, aren't real. Everyone is essentially in education, which I understand. But if you are learning from someone, just make sure you see their like proof that they're actually making money and whatever they're talking about, they're preaching. If those two things align, that, hey, they're trading a certain strategy or a certain way, and they have a P&L to back it up, I think going in the direction of learning from that person is very ideal because it will shorten your learning curve. And I think when you are starting out learning, try to focus on one way of trading, right? One market, one essentially style. Don't go into the market following like 10 different people, right? Because everyone has a different trading style. Everyone has a different approach. So if you do start trading and start looking at 10 different people, it sounds very attractive, right? But at the end of the day, you won't be able to, build in the right way. If you follow one or two people, build off, kind of take pieces out of their book, take a few things here and there, and start building your own trading, viewpoint. It'll help you, and it'll be a lot easier than kind of following 10, 12 people, watching their videos, their focus points, and just being all over the place.
Yeah, I like that. That's some good advice. I mean, kind of goes back to identifying first the right mentor that you can kind of put your money in and trust and see their progress, see their success results, but then, not kind of dealing with style drift and bouncing between different strategies. Like what would be, we hear about style drift. Someone tries out, one strategy or style 1 month, goes to another the next month. How long should you give one mentor and his system? How long should you give that? 6 months, a year? to then just decide whether, this isn't working because of me or another reason, or maybe this what I'm learning is total shit.
Sure. So I think giving it 3 months, 4 months is ideal, but also look at the person you're following. What are they trading? What account size? How are they trading? Because you also kind of can't replicate that, right? So if
Yep.
I'm essentially trading, let's just say equities, and I'm going in $5 million a position just for argument's sake, and someone tries to replicate and making the same amount of money, you can't unless you're trading with that size. But if you go with the approach of I want to understand where he gets in, where he gets out, and replicate that into options or maybe futures or something else, fine. So you also, as kind of the learner, you have to understand who you're learning from in terms of like what are they trading in capital? Can you replicate their trading style? Maybe some people scalp. Like there's days I'll scalp under 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. I'm in and out very quick. Some people aren't quick on their feet to be able to do that. Yeah. So if that's you and you're like, wait, I can't execute on a high level or I can't scalp at the level this guy does, I don't think you should try to replicate that style. So it comes from you, like, right? What is your trading style? What are you good at? What are you not good at? What are the traits you have? And then, take those traits into trading and then find people that fit those traits.
Yeah, that's some good advice. Can we talk about your trading style, which I'm sure has adapted, since you've started? And just give us because I don't have any idea, what kind of trader you are, whether you swing trade, day trade. You said you scalp a bit, what's kind of capital you're working with. Just to give the audience a sense of where you're at as a trader, even though you are trading a bit less right now.
Sure. So currently this year, my account was at 100K. I started with 100K trading SPY options and futures. That's really it. Currently, that account is like at 212. Once again, I traded less than 20 trading days. So, I mean, wasn't really active on it.
Yep.
I don't plan to add more money to that account. I just plan to keep trading with that account on a personal level. When I do have the trading floor, it'll be, obviously with a lot more capital. Also, when I'm trading options, I don't need more than 200 grand personally. Like it's hard in terms of size. It's hard in terms of liquidity. So going back to 2021, I made about $7.5 million. And that year I started with 200 grand. Right. I wasn't trading with a $20 million account or a $15 million account. It was essentially 200 grand and the 200 grand compounded. Right. Just to give you some stats on that, I think towards the summer until June, July, that 200 account, I roughly made about 1.5 to 2 million. And the remaining 4 or 5 million came in the last 4 or 5 months. Right. But that all compounded in terms of my risk increasing, my position size increasing, my confidence increasing, which came at the end of the year. So I'm not, some people see some of my profits, right? And they're like, oh, well, this guy has to be trading with 2 million or 5 million or 20 million. And I'm like, no, like some of my positions are 50K. I make 40, 50%. Some positions are 300 grand, right? And I'll make 40%, 30%, or even 20%, which equates to 60 grand. And then the other question people would have is, why don't you, if you're going with 300 grand, why don't you go with 3 million? And I'm like, I can't with options. It's very hard. Liquidity is an actual problem with options. Like I can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just a little bit different, which is why I've navigated a little bit more into futures recently, just because liquidity is not an issue compared to options. And you guys trade options, right? I think I've seen a few things. So liquidity, as you guys know, slippage and liquidity and the spreads, these things become a real problem, especially if you're going in 300, 400K on a single order. It's just difficult. Right. And also it's just, you don't need I'm also not at a point where I can go in an option trade with $1 million or $2 million because options move 10, 20%. You go in with 2 million, 10%, you're down 200 grand. I can't fathom that at this current stage. I would love to, but I can't, even if liquidity wasn't a problem. Those movements are too much for me.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, how do you deal with liquidity issues when you're dealing with, non-blue chip names? So $100 million market caps where those
I don't trade them.
I don't. That's what's gonna ask because the spread is so drastic that if you
I don't trade them.
The difference between the bid and the ask is your profit margin sometimes. So it's like don't even. I see some people going and trying to buy like option contracts on like really like small names where the spread is 10% of the contract value, and then when they go to sell it, there's no liquidity, so they have to go down to the bid, and then they're just because they can't even sell for the mid because there's not enough demand, and then they just get screwed. There goes all the profit.
Yeah, no, I stay away from names with low liquidity, and I also stay away from option chains with low liquidity, right? Especially if there's wide spreads. I can't tell. Like SPX, right? I trade SPY. So a lot of people go, why don't you trade SPX? And I'm like, for me personally, I can't take on the wide spreads, right? Sometimes the spreads are like $4, $5. And if it goes against you, next thing you know, you're down 35, 40% in a minute. And I'm like, I can't go in with $500,000 and be down 200 grand in a minute.
I'm just curious. I want to talk about risk management, and especially like taking an account from 200,000, scaling that up to 6, 7 million. Like, how did you approach that from a risk management standpoint and not just totally blow up? Like, what did that look like? And when you're trying to scale and, you know, increase risk, decrease risk, however it is you did that.
Sure. So when I initially grow any account, I'm not looking to grow an account. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm trying to take this account to this number. I just trade, right? I'm just trading. I'm trading off like the beginning of the year, the beginning of the month is always difficult for me because I'm starting for break even, right? So I always have the hardest time in the beginning of the year because it's like you start with 200 grand, you have no profit, you have no cushion, right? So once that cushion starts being built, now I'm comfortable, right? Because think about it. If you start with a 200K account or 20K account, the moment you have a $50,000 or $100,000 cushion, you're like, okay, I'll take a 20K risk. I'll take a 30K risk on a trade. So your appetite for risk slowly starts increasing. So as I start making money and I start building momentum, I start increasing my appetite for risk just because I can at that moment.
Yeah.
Right now, there's also times where I can't because of market conditions, because of how I feel. Maybe I don't have a good read on the market. It just becomes really, really hard for me to personally read. So I'm not comfortable on taking, massive positions or putting out risk, right? So in 2021, the thing that got me going was a firm, right? I think I took a swing on a firm from like $60 to $50 to like 120. It was equities. I think I had $500,000 or 700,000. So that doubled or something, right? So now I have this big cushion of profits in my account. Right now I'm like, okay, well, I can risk more. And then I started risking more and more. 40K per trade, 30K per trade, 70K per trade. And those numbers started working, right? Now, obviously, when I'm wrong, I took some hits, but ultimately, the R multiple on my trades made sense. I was making 2 to 3 times what I was risking. My win rate was also doing very well, very, very well for a couple of weeks. So I was able to accumulate 2 back-to-back $1 million months, but that was because I had a big move. And that big move allowed me to, allocate more risk.
Okay. Sure. Wow.
That's okay. Impressive. And then are you simply trading naked contracts or are you hedging?
Naked contracts.
You're just trading 30, 40, 50, it sounds like 100K naked calls, naked puts.
Even more sometimes, yeah. Like there's positions this year, not so far yet, but in 2021 I had 300, 400K position open. Yeah. But I'm trading SPY. I'm not trading like a name with no liquidity, right? I'm trading names with massive liquidity, tight spreads.
Still, I mean, that's some cowboy shit. Like that's pretty. I mean, that's
just you build up to that, right?
Yeah.
It's not something I recommend anyone, especially if you're new, to do that. I build up to it, and I would like to say I'm good at executing, and I'm good at managing my risk, and I'm good at recognizing when I'm wrong and getting out immediately. Right now, if you're trading options and you can't recognize when you're wrong, you're going to have a really, really difficult time. Because it's like, if you can't recognize when you're wrong and you get out and you end up holding that position or you overstay that position, you're going to lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what are your rules for realizing when you're wrong? Do you have a simple stop loss that you either put in on the market or that you have a mental stop loss that you have when you enter the trade? Or is this something you just have, okay, if A, B, and C happens, then I get out?
So a lot of it is, if A, B, and C happens, I'll get out at this level. This is what the market needs to show me. A little bit of it sometimes is also, hey, if the stock price gets to this point, I'm down 30 grand or 40 grand or whatever the number is. I don't want to take on more of a loss than that. But majority of the time, it's just, hey, if X, Y, and Z happen, I need to get out. I'm wrong. I'm wrong, right? And sometimes I'll get out a little bit. I'll get out a little bit earlier than my initial expected, I guess, loss, just because it's like the moment you get into a trade sometimes, I'm pretty sure you guys can agree, the moment you get into a trade, you realize, well, this trade is not what I thought it was. Let me get out right away. Right. And there's like something that starts developing for traders that have been in the market for a couple of years, even, a little bit longer. You start developing this cool intuition where whenever you put on a position, you can sometimes feel the trade. I know it sounds very weird, and I've spoken to other traders that have been trading for yeah, 5, 10 years. And like, yeah, it's like sometimes I look at the trade, I'm like, okay, the market's gonna go lower. Like today I saw ES and I wanted to take a short and I was like, I think we're gonna see a sell-off day. And I just didn't execute it because I haven't taken a trade for the past 5 weeks. So like my hands have been really, really cold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let me just kind of make the prediction. And the intuition just was like, hey, we're gonna sell off, we're gonna open, stay flat, and sell off a couple of minutes later, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Dang. So talking about like intuition, this is all like mindset, psychology, trading psychology plays a huge part in like a trader's success. Are there any like key tips when it comes to managing your emotions, managing your mindset, essentially, just not trading with emotion and sticking to your plan,
Sure.
sticking to your process? Any tips that could help someone listening?
Sure. So the main thing is I think everyone has to understand that we can only manage emotions and not eliminate. So that's why I kind of like that you said to manage them, because I hear a lot of people say you need to eliminate emotions. I'm like, we as humans, we
Not
can't
possible.
eliminate our emotions. It's just not humanly possible. Like if you eliminate your emotions, you're going to be a psychopath.
Yeah.
Like as simple as that, right? So it's managing your emotions. Now, all three of us on the call have different ways we react and we respond to certain events, right? All three of us respond to a loss very differently. All three of us respond to a winning day or a winning trade very differently, right?
Mhm.
So what works for me essentially may or may not work for you guys, vice versa. So the idea is to understand yourself on a deeper level, like, okay, what are my deep core problems that impact me? Like one problem I had early on when I started trading was I had a massive ego problem, right?
Yep.
I hated being wrong. If I said, for example, SPY is going to go up higher and SPY goes lower, my trade goes lower, I don't care. I have to stick to it because I told you guys. No matter what, I have to stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't care how I look in front of you guys. As long as I make money, I can tell you, hey, I think this trade is going to go higher. I'm okay on opening and changing my mind.
Yeah.
In midst of the trade idea, because there's new opportunities, new reads, new things that happen within that time period that I'm able to recognize. Where early on, my ego used to kind of crush me, where I'd be in a trade, I'm like, no, there's no way I can exit. I told people, or I told myself I can't be wrong. Like it has to go higher, so I'll double down. Right. Same thing with me having winning trades.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed in the past where I would have a strong winning trade on the open, and the moment I would make money, immediately I'm like, okay, I'm so good. Why didn't I use more money? If I doubled my risk, I could have made 50,000 instead of 20.
Yeah.
Okay, next trade, I'm going to double it. And I
Yeah.
start realizing the next trade, my confidence increases, the trade opportunity decreases, but I don't recognize that because my trade or mentality is anchored off the first trade.
Yeah.
Right. So it just kind of learning those things. And one thing that's helped me a lot is just kind of writing things down, journaling essentially. And I don't see the things whenever I talk about journaling, it's very like weird because people are like, oh, he's only talking about journaling because like of TradeZilla. And I'm like, no, I can go back to 2013, 2014, 2015, and I can show you when TradeZilla never existed. I can show you notebooks, right, where I used to journal my trades, write down the reasoning why I got in, why I got out, write down my thought process of, hey, why was I aggressive today? Why wasn't I aggressive today? Like I actually journal that whole process. And it's like when I mention journaling now, people are like, oh, well, it's because he has TradeZilla. And I'm like, no, like it actually really, if you do it the right way, right? And it's not just journaling trading. I'm talking about your whole life, everything you do, right? If you journal and you do it with intent, you will start noticing patterns of behavior that you do when you are intentfully focused on, writing it down and seeing the patterns and behaviors, right? And that for me was like a key moment in my trading. And even till this now, I journal very vividly of all aspects of my life, to personal, to business, to trading, just to be like, okay, why didn't I, like today I didn't execute, so I have like a whole journal log of it. And I was like, okay, I didn't execute because I haven't traded for a couple of weeks. I haven't put on a position. So obviously my hand's a little bit cold in terms of like, what if I'm wrong? What if I lose money? I don't want to lose money. I don't want to have my first trade red. So it's like a mental blocker. But now that mental blocker allows me to kind of open it up for tomorrow, day after tomorrow, right?
Okay. This episode is sponsored by thedailytraders.com. Now, if you're interested in learning how to trade in the stock market, I have put together a curriculum of videos covering everything I know, everything I've learned over the last 5 years trading in the market. The link will be the first in the description below to my mentorship group. You click that link and I will see you over there. Why did you start TradeZilla? Was it because of the success you've had through journaling, or attributing a lot of your trading success through this discipline, journaling? Was that kind of what you figured like was a huge, attributing factor to your success, and now you want to help other people learn how to, adapt and implement those same skills when it comes to journaling? And tell us a bit about TradeZilla and what you actually offer.
Sure. So TradeZilla was ultimately started, I think, in 2018, 2019. I was using a bunch of journaling tools out there online, and the problem with majority of the journaling tools is they're built, in my opinion, by developers, not traders. So they look cool. Some of them, lack some features that I think traders do need. And I was like, well, it'd be cool if this feature had that, or this company had this feature, it had this feature. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to build, my own tool. And initially, when I was planning to build a tool, it was not for the public. In 2020, I was opening up a trading floor before the pandemic hit and shut everything down. I was down in California, and we couldn't let anyone in for a year. But the goal was to build a trading tool for the floor, right? So as I was building it, pandemic hit, took a step back. We started working on it more and more, and I was like, you know what? This would be cool to allow everyone to use. So that's where it started from. For me, journaling, like I mentioned, was huge. It really, transformed my trading. And it's not just if you journal, just something I want to be very clear about. If you journal, it's not like, oh my God, I've been journaling for 2 months. Why am I not a profitable trader? Of course, there's other elements. Journaling just kind of puts more of a focus point on your strengths and weaknesses if you do it with intent, and makes the process more scalable, right? So with TradeZilla, it was to add all the features and things that I think are beneficial to traders. And since we've been working on it, right now we have a very large team. We have a team of like 10 developers. We're pushing out new features month after month, and we have a very extensive roadmap on things that we are building. And ultimately, everything we're building is in the mindset of, how do we build something that benefits a trader? What do we build that will benefit this person? We listen to all feedback. We listen to every sort of feedback that we can get, because we understand we're not going to get it right on the first time, but it's learning more and more about different trading styles, different traders, and implementing those things within TradeZilla. So TradeZilla, you can journal, track your trades on a deeper level. Like if you get into a trade, you can see your running P&L. Like, hey, at one point, I was up $5,000 in the trade. I closed at a $500 profit. Wow, why did I not sell when I was up $5,000? Right? You can see your entries plotted on a chart. You can see MFE, MFA. A lot of different things. The best times on you entered. You can replay your trade. So if you took a trade 2 months ago, you can go to that trade and replay the action second by second and kind of understand that. We have a really cool, deep, extensive notebook that's very similar to like Microsoft OneNote. Right, like it's a really cool notebook that is in TradeZilla, and there's a lot of other things that we're slowly adding. But that main core idea is, hey, if you track your day trades, and you with intent, write down what you need to do, it will benefit you. And the main thing that we really want to do with TradeZilla is offer free education. Right, so one of our missions for this year is we're going to offer like free education. Like it's not even like you have to subscribe or pay. Our goal by the end of this year is just have massive free education for the trading community in general, not charge for it, not anything, all, powered by TradeZilla, because the mission we have is we want to empower retail traders. And how do we do that? These are the ways we do it. And that's what we want to do.
Wow. That's awesome. So if someone wants to start their journaling, if someone's not journaling, right, what are like a couple of key elements or aspects of that trade you're putting on, or, prior to the trade, creating your trade plan? What should people be writing down? Like just a couple, very basic journaling techniques outside of just, hey, did I win? Did I lose?
Sure. So there's a few key elements about journaling that I think are important, right? So one is before you start your day, before you start your trading session, I think that should be journaled. You should write down your thoughts and processes. So what I do is I will typically screenshot the pre-market action. I will take down notes of what I think about the pre-market action and what I think of the upcoming trading session. The reason I do that is because I like to go back to that at the end of the day and just kind of see what I could have done or what I did right or wrong overall, right? So it's like I have some trading sessions where I have, key notes, and the market's response to those notes very, in a very good way. And then there's days I'll have a completely bad read, and I'm like, wait, how did I miss that? Oh, it makes sense how I missed that. So when you continuously do that, be it on day 1 or day 2000 of your trading career, it just keeps you sharp. It allows you to keep learning. It allows you to keep adjusting to the market. Like there was a time with the market where I've noticed every time the market gapped up as we were on a downtrend, we would gap up, we would consolidate until 10 a.m. Eastern time, and around 10 a.m. Eastern time, we would have a sell off. Right? It was a consistent pattern that the market was showing. The only way I picked up on that is by taking my pre-market notes, looking at them at the end of the day, putting it together, and just circling back to that continuously. Right? So that's one element. The second element is every trade you take. Right? So every trade you take, I like to look at my trade playbook. Like I have playbooks of my trading. What was the reason? Like what playbook was it? Was it an opening drive? Was it a morning top reversal? Like what playbook did this trade fit into? Now there are times where and you have to be brutally honest. There are times I've taken trades, and honestly, in the moment it looked like it was fitting a playbook, but there was no trade. It was just me being emotional, or me chasing, or me wanting to make money, or whatever the case was, right?
Yep.
But then, so when I take the trades, I allocate, hey, it's for this playbook, it's for this strategy, this is what the setup is, whatever the case is. And once I'm able to do that, I then look at what my risk was, what was the trade outcome, right? Like how was the trade while I was in it? Like there's times I've made money on trades where I made, let's say, 20 grand, but I was down maybe 40 or 50,000 on the trade at a point.
Wow.
Right. So when I look at the trade, it's like, when I look at the trade, from a face value, it's like, great, I made 20 grand. But when I go back into the numbers, I'm like, wait, I was down 50,000. My max risk on this was 25,000. So I didn't follow my stop, and I didn't actually have a good trade. This is not sustainable, right? Yep. Another thing I look at after I do take trades is, at the end of the day, I like to go back to the trades and look at the aftermath. I like to look at what happened after. Okay, I sold at this level. What happened after? What was my thought process of selling? Sometimes when I look at a trade and I sell, I realize, wait, I sold way too early. Okay, well, I sold way too early because I'm looking at the trade now. But in the moment, what did I see that made me sell? And sometimes I'm like, okay, well, that was a good sell, even though it went higher. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I missed these key elements of the trade, which I need to get better at. And it happens. Even now, year 10 of trading, I miss a lot of things. It happens, right? And if the moment I kind of step away from that, I'm not sharp enough. I start losing my edge a little bit. So it's like when I continuously do it, it's like you as a trader who has been in the game for a long period of time, you continuously stay sharp and you're on top of things. And which is why one reason, and I'll confidently and proudly say this, I've been trading for 10 years and I'm still here. Like after 10 years, like there's very little traders that I've seen start in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, and most of them are gone. Even traders that I've seen start in 2020 are gone now. And the main reason for that is adjusting to markets, having a good read on the market. And the way, once again, that's helped me is through that, intentful journaling process.
Is there like something you've implemented within TradeZilla to help like systematically be able to look at like a number and say, all right, I'm trading with emotion to this extent, to this degree, besides just like your tilt meter tracking your tilt?
So that's actually something we've been developing for the past couple of weeks, right? Because the thing is, it's easier to develop something just face value, but it's hard to develop something with data, right? So we've been getting a lot of data from traders, users, understanding what issues they're having and understanding how to build out a tool that can essentially track and monitor their emotions, right? So we are working on something. We have some templates and things like that you can kind of write things down and see and get a feel of. But in terms of like tracking wise, it's not out yet. I would say by June, we should have something that allows you to, monitor and, adjust your emotions accordingly to the trades, right? But in terms of me, like at this stage, I would like to say I'm very well aware of my emotions, right? Where they impact my trading and where they step in. I think early on, and I think most people are at that stage, I didn't know where or how my emotions played a role. And that's why I like writing things down. Like one thing that helped me a lot was when I would take trades, I would have like a piece of paper next to me and I would just write down like, I sold here, I bought here, why? Okay, I got it, blah, blah, blah. I'd go down to it. Or you can just take your phone, put on the recorder and talk in it. Okay, I'm selling SPY contracts here. Why did I sell? I think it's going to go lower. I don't really feel good about it. I feel bad. You go back and listen to that and do that for 1 month. And you would be surprised in how much of a different person you are when you're trading in front of the screens and when you're off the screens. Like when you listen to that voice memo, you'll be like, wait, that was me? That was me talking? That's how I was thinking in the moment.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make sense. So it's like when you start doing those things, you just, learn so much more about yourself.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great tip. And that's funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I
Yeah,
never
yeah,
actually
heard of that. That
developing
was
a
a good
tool
one.
like that.
yeah, yeah.
I always figured that would
Yeah, no,
be
you'd be amazed.
like a
Yeah, yeah,
move.
you'd be amazed. Try it. Like it's cool. Like I used to screen record my trades, right? And I used to have the mic on.
Yeah.
Um, and it was cool because every time I went back to it, I'd be like, What? That's what I was thinking. Holy shit! Holy crap! Like what?
Wow.
And I would just be amazed. And now, when after some time, muscle memory kicks in, and your awareness of those trades kick in. You're like, wait, I did this a lot, not this time, not this time. So over a couple of months, it just builds up.
So I'm curious, TradeZilla, how many employees do you guys have now? Because it's kind of grown into this. I think it's the largest tracker as far as trading out there right now. Correct?
I mean, I depends who you ask. I still think we're maybe at 5% of our capacity, and we
Well,
can come back to this interview in maybe 2 years, and I can't talk about all the features and things we have lined up and the way we're going to go and attack the market. But I would like to say we're still at 5%, maybe 10 tops.
Hmm.
But in terms of
but-
employees, we probably have I'd say like 25 people up or down.
okay.
Yeah.
So how did you grow about scaling a team? Because do you have like a computer science background? Did you understand how to program and create apps?
No, I have no knowledge of that at all. Zero. It's a funny story. 2019, that's when I wanted to execute the idea. I was thinking about it multiple times, and my thing ever since I was young is I've always wanted to push myself to new boundaries, and TradeZilla is kind of like the stepping stone for me to do that. And in 2019, I kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I don't know how to code. I don't know how to develop. I don't know how to do that. So I try to look for a partner to help me build. And every person I would speak to just wasn't it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. This isn't for me. And then I think I hit end of 2019 and I was like, you know what? I just have to do it. I think I have the grit of, just taking things on. I think I'm very well calculated and I think I can take on the project. So we started in 2020. And what I did wrong initially was I just threw money at it,
Hmm.
right? I just threw money at the project thinking you're going to hire people, you're going to do stuff, and the people are going to build out the product and they're going to do well. And I think that's one downside I've seen with people that have success in one industry, right? They'll carry the success from that industry and automatically think they'll have success in a new industry, which is
Hmm.
not true. Right. So if you're successful in trading and you go and try to do like a real business, which is like SaaS, which in my opinion is a real business, and not to knock education down because I was in the education business, I don't think education is really a business that requires you to puzzle pieces together. It's not to knock down the education business, but it's a much easier business where you can launch a product, make money, and that's it. On like SaaS or technology, and this is me going through it,
Hmm.
I've learned like I had to redevelop myself into a new person to actually operate a team, operate everything that's going on to, scale this to the level it's at. So 2020, we hired an agency that went bad, right? Like terrible. That was a complete mess up. They built a very bad product. The product wasn't built good at all.
Hmm.
And towards 2020, we had a split, and then for the next 6 months, I was looking for a new technology partner. 2021, we found a technology partner. They helped us really, clean up the code, understand our vision. We built a team around them and we were able to scale on the dev side. Then in 2022, we did like a soft launch in March of 2022. And it was just to kind of experiment like, okay, what do traders use? What do they like? What don't they like? What can we make better? And a lot of it, like I was getting on interviews with a lot of early users, like one-on-one 20-minute calls, 30-minute calls. Okay, well, can you show me how you use the product? Can you show me what do you like? What don't you like? What would you like for this to have? Can you show me what are the problems you're struggling with in trading? And for me, that was very eye opening because in business, one thing is whenever you start something and you want to scale it, the business will always be beyond you if you want to go to a very high level. And the only way you can do that is if you listen to your core audience or core users and you as quote unquote the CEO, even though I hate that word, or the guy running the company, you have to get on the ground and really do the nitty gritty work,
Yeah.
right? And for me, it was like I had days where I was scheduled, 14 calls back to back with users, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of just understanding and also offering them value too. Cause I'm like, hey, if you're offering us value, I'll break down trades for you. I'll help you out in any way I can. So we did that for some time. And then from there, we learned a lot. We learned a lot about our users. We learned a lot about, hey, whatever we're building, are we building in the right stage? Are we not building in the right stage? That fast forwards, and from then it was just kind of finding newer ways to build a product, newer key components to add, and things like that. And up until now, we haven't really built out a marketing engine until like now. Like in May and April, like we started last month of structuring it, is when we started building out a marketing engine. So the growth that we have had has all been organic, right?
Wow.
Like purely organic.
Yep.
And the reason for that is one thing I always believe: anyone that is building a business or building any service or whatever the case is, even if it's education, whatever, if you build a good product, a good service, people will come.
Yeah.
What I see people doing, especially entrepreneurs nowadays, is they half-ass the product or service and they put full focus on the marketing. Well, I need to make the marketing look cool. I need to try to get as many people. And the fulfillment side of it sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you will get a million users, but if they're unhappy, you won't retain them. The word won't spread. People won't recommend your product. It just won't grow on the macro level, right? Even if it's not a million users, even if let's just a couple of hundred people on a lower scale, same concept. If you can make 10 people happy, they will go and tell other people, and they will tell other people, and they will tell other people. So it's always been for me, put our head down, focus on the product. How do we make the product better? What do we do to give you the best experience possible if you come and you join TradeZilla, right? Overall, if you are any way involved with our brand, how do we give you the best experience, which is what I was talking about before? We want to give free education. Like at the end of this year, we're going to offer free education in the trading space, like in-depth, real good education. It's not even saying, hey, you have to sign up to get it. No, it's free. We want everyone to come to TradeZilla as the main hub, not even trying to make money, just in terms of being that brand. Wow, they have great education. They have great content. They have great everything. And if they want to journal, great, come journal with us, right? Yeah. So it's just building that culture that is extremely, extremely important.
Wow. That's really cool. One of my favorite quotes, or I don't know if this was, I'm sure you're familiar with like Alex Hormozy. And he says all the time, create an offer or a product so good that people would feel stupid saying no.
Yeah.
And I love seeing like how you've kind of done that with TradeZilla, and that whole time, you're giving that spiel about how it's very product based. Like your vision was like, let's just create a really good product. Just the whole time I was thinking is like you guys were really trying to crack down and create something so good that people would almost feel stupid saying, no, I don't want to buy this. So, kudos to you.
Yeah. No, it's just figuring that out. And the thing is, if you are trying to build a company for all the entrepreneurs, it's like there's a lot of nitty-gritty stuff that you have to do. And it's like people kind of have this perception, like CEO, you sit and you don't do anything, you hire people. It's not going to work. Like if you want to build a really good company, whatever area it's in, you have to wear multiple different hats, right? Like every hat possible to actually grow your company. Whatever areas a week, you need to step in. You need to be able to come in and just, help in terms of growing the company, help in solving those problems. And you can't be like, well, I'm not doing that job. Like there's times I was answering like our customer service questions because I wanted to see what problems people were having. Like there's times like I'll hop onto our customer support area and I'll go through it and I'll respond to people. I'll have conversations because me being in my position, I am able to learn about our customers, and based on me learning about our customers, I can kind of take the ship in the direction it needs to go. And a lot of people, when they're at a higher stage at a company or even their company, they don't want to look at that stuff. They don't want to listen to their customers. Like, I'm not going to do that work. And I'm like, no, that's how you're going to be able to gather data to make the good choices that the company needs to go in the right direction.
Umar, this has been a fantastic episode. I really like your idea of kind of coming back to this in 2 years and seeing where, TradeZilla is at. I'm sure you guys are going to do some really big things. Journaling as a whole, I think is super important. One of my favorite quotes to go along with that is what gets measured gets approved on. And journaling is exactly that. But yeah, I'm very curious about what it's like living down in Dubai. I'm sure a lot of people are. It's kind of been this buzzword lately. So give me like your daily routine down there and like where you're living. If you're comfortable sharing like how much rent is. I've seen some like outrageous things or some outrageous rents for like a 1 bedroom apartment. So yeah, give us the lowdown on Dubai.
Sure. Like I said, I came down here in February. So it's been like 3 months. I went back to New York. So haven't really found a place I want to essentially live in. Rent, it depends what area you live in, right? Some areas, like if you go to JBR, you go by the Palm, your rent could be anywhere from like 10,000 to 20 or 25 grand a month. The Dubai market did get very hot the past year or two. So I'll give you guys an example, right? So there's a building here called the Address, right? I looked at that building in 2020 before the pandemic. and a 2 bedroom apartment there at that time, no, a 3 bedroom at the time was going for like 12 to 15,000, right?
Mhm.
At that time. Now the same 3 bedroom apartment in the same building is going upwards of 30 grand,
Oh my
right?
Oh
word.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of places, a lot of main areas have doubled. And the reason it's gotten really expensive here is because of two reasons. Number one, in the past year or two, after the pandemic, I think a lot of people realized, like, hey, I don't have to be in my current country. A lot of people also realize they don't have to be in the current environment. They can move. Taxes plays a big role. And then another big reason was the Russia and Ukraine war, right?
Mhm.
Dubai has no sanctions on Russia, so a lot of people from Russia have came over here. So a lot of Russians, people from Ukraine, that's been driving up the markets very, very aggressively as well. So those are some of the reasons why we're seeing a big pent up demand. And same thing with crypto money and NFTs and all that stuff. People that make tons of money. That's just driving the market up here.
Yeah. Wow.
Very
That's
cool. How do you
crazy.
go about networking in Dubai? I imagine you're a business guy, so networking plays a big role in what you do.
I don't want to say it's much better than the States, depending on where you live. Like if you live in like the hot cities, like let's say Miami, New York, you're good. But it's just Dubai is very, very small where everything is like 20 minutes away. So if
Mhm.
you're on one side or the other side, it'll take roughly 20 to 30 minutes to get to one side or the other. So it's relatively a small area. So if you're in the right places, I think meeting people is very doable. The right people. Obviously, you're not just going to run into them and have conversations. You obviously have to bring value yourself if you can. There's a lot of high net worth individuals, that are here. A lot of new opportunities in real estate, crypto, trading, e-commerce, agencies, whatever it is. A lot of people are here, so it's just conversating with them, meeting with them. A lot of big events are happening here too. I think we have like a big fintech event coming up. Then we have another event in a couple of weeks. I forgot what that event was. We just had a big crypto event. So a lot of big, events and things are happening here because this is becoming like the new financial hub in a way for the world. In
Yeah.
my opinion, that's where we're headed.
Well, I was thinking, I mean, the taxes are probably just the biggest reason, right? I mean, these guys who realize that they could go remote, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, so what? I'll pay an extra $250,000 in rent, but I'll save 5 million in taxes. So it's
Exactly. So
like,
it's like it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for a majority of people. Taxes, have to pay no taxes. Also, like I said, it's really safe here, right?
yeah.
You've probably seen on TikTok and social media where people reserve their tables with their phones. If you go to some restaurants, you'll see that someone's phone is on the table, like it's a real thing.
Mhm.
So it's an extremely safe, clean country, and I think the way they're running the country, they're going in the right direction, and that's attracting, a lot of people worldwide, especially good talent and people coming down here.
I was gonna say, what
Yeah, I
watch?
wonder if
What watch do you have on? Because you wouldn't wear that watch out in like London, but I'm sure you can walk around
like,
Dubai without worrying about getting mugged.
I
Yeah,
guess
no,
like
London, New York, LA, all those places, like especially London, you guys probably hearing London is going downhill. People are getting mugged left and right. Same
Yeah,
thing with New York and downtown LA, right? It's
yeah,
just
true.
when you go to parts of like America and it's great. It's just there's areas that are really declining, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And it's just when you go into the safety aspect, it's even getting worse. Like I know people personally in New York that have gotten mugged, right?
Yeah,
Wearing a $500,000 watch or 300 grand watch in daylight. Here,
oh my god.
you're not going to do that because if you pull that off here, they're very harsh with their punishment. So people don't even think about it here.
wow.
What do you know what like the punishments are? Like if someone got mugged or assaulted someone, like what the charge is?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure to be honest, but I do know in some situations it's extremely harsh, right? So it's also coming here is like getting a visa here and getting the process to come here is not as easy as people think, right? It's the same thing as like if
Like,
you hire people, like if you hire someone, let's say you have a company and you hire essentially, let's say a maid, right? Or you hire a maid for your house, or let's just say you hire people for your company. People here, they take the person that they sponsored, they take their passports, right? So it's like when you think about that, all the people that are coming from outside of the world, maybe that aren't at level to really lose much. When they come to these countries, their passports are things to really fly back or take in. So it doesn't make sense for them to go and commit crimes or whatnot because they're going to be stuck here anyways.
Oh,
Wow.
makes sense.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right.
It's one way of
That was
incentivizing it.
Interesting
Yeah.
hearing a bit about Dubai. I'm sure we'll be out there eventually. It sounds like a whole
When do you guys
different
plan to
world.
come out here?
God, I don't know. That's a great question. I mean,
I've
I'd love to go. Maybe this summer. Just like
Don't come in the
Yeah.
summer. It gets really
It's
hot. If
brutal,
anything,
right?
come
Yeah.
down maybe like October-ish.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
come
heard
down
it's crazy.
October-ish, after October, anytime after October. But summer it gets extremely hot. Like extremely hot.
Within the next year. I think that's a goal of mine for sure. So
Nice,
Yeah, we're
nice.
starting to
Come
make
down,
like a
hit me up.
network in Dubai.
hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah, dude. Well, if you're ever
Nice.
in
Yeah,
off
come
chance you're
down,
in
hit me up.
Maine.
Of course. Yeah, come down, hit me up. Come down.
All
We'll grab
right.
lunch, dinner, or
Awesome.
something. Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
100%.
All right. Where can people find you, Umar?
I guess my Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
Okay.
It's my name,
We'll
Umar
link it.
Ashraf. That's really about it. Yeah.
All right, we'll link all
Yeah.
your we'll link everything below in the description if you guys want to check Umar out. Thank you so much for coming on, Umar. It's been a pleasure having you. I really enjoyed this episode. So we hope you guys did enjoy, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys.
Peace.